Welcome. Brand new episode of Make Happiness Podcast. Happy Monday, or whichever day you're listening to this to. Hopefully it's when it comes out on a Monday, but I mean, you can listen to it whenever you want.
If you're a dedicated viewer, you listen to us right when it comes out, right?
There you go. Well, I thought it'd be cool to release all these on Mondays because, I mean, Monday is such a shitty day for, you know, everyone in the world of the work and education and school. Like, no one likes Mondays.
It's like, oh, it's the beginning of the week. 5
Exactly.
days until the weekend.
Right. So I was like, well, let's live it up. Let's make some happiness.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, take two. So we just recorded probably like 5 to 10 minutes of this podcast, and then the recording cut. So now we're kind of restarting, but it's all good. So now my head's kind of in a weird spot because we were talking about something, and then now like I have to backtrack and start all over. But
yeah,
no worries.
it's a good way to refresh because, you know,
It is.
there's ramblings that happen all the time, and you know.
And to be fair, maybe there's a reason that we needed to restart because it was like, no, you shouldn't talk about that. Let's cut the recording.
We'll get to something better, and it'll be better for you guys, definitely.
Yeah. All right. This podcast is all going to be about self-awareness, being yourself, being comfortable with who you are as a person, and how to find who you are as a person. You know, like, how do you figure out your own passion? How do you figure out what you want to do, and how, instead of following everyone else, you know, how do you be yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Eli, how did you figure out who you are?
How did I figure out who I was? Man, you know, that comes just with going day to day, everything. Like, you know, you hang out with people, you find out what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. That's just experiences, life experiences in general. So
do you have a good idea of who you are, do you think?
Oh man, that could be deep. I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, I know what I'm into. I know what I'm not into. I know what I like in a person. I know what I don't like in a person. And, you know,
Sure. You understand your values and like what you look for.
You know, as kind of cheesy as it is, it's like your core values are definitely.
Do you know, or would you consider yourself self-aware?
Yes,
Okay.
I would. Yeah. Like,
think that's
I constantly am in my head a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so how would this affect me? How would this affect other people? And I think a lot of the things I do, so if I'm in a social situation, I constantly think, I constantly am worried about offending someone. If I say something wrong, I don't want to like hurt feelings or anything like that.
Sure.
Which I think can be good, but you also want to be you. You don't want to have to worry about that constantly.
Yeah,
and I think with
it's
the
hard
proper,
to find that balance.
yeah, with that proper surrounding, like if you're who you are and you're honest with yourself and the people around you, you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Right. Well, also it's weird too, because sometimes people ask me like, I don't know how to find out who I am, or I don't know like what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what my passions are. And I always think back to when I because my whole life I've grown up biking. My whole life I don't know. I've just grown up with this. This is all I've known because my brother was really positive, and I kind of took his traits. And my parents aren't that outgoing anymore, but they used to be super outgoing, and they did tons of adventurous stuff. So I think it was just like a trait. But I think doing new things is really healthy for you, because when I was writing about this in my journal, actually, when I was in LA, but there's a feeling, I couldn't put a finger on the feeling, but it's something that gives you a sense of fulfillment and real like self-accusation of like proud and dignity and all those good emotions, happiness, you know, like I'm sure you get that when you're recording music or something.
Yeah, or even just when I'm playing music. I'm a musician as well, so you know, when I come up with some cool idea, or if I'm, you know, just honestly, some of the best feelings I get is when it's so like corny to like maybe other people, but it's honestly so satisfying when an edit comes together and it's so smooth, and you're like, yes, that worked out. I spent an amount of time on that. You know, it could be anywhere from 5 minutes to like an hour trying to figure out how to get something to flow together,
then
and it works out
perfect,
and
just
it's like,
how you wanted it.
You feel so good about what you just did.
Yeah, and I think that's what people should look for when they're trying to figure out who they are. Find that feeling, and as soon as you find that feeling, follow it till the day you die. Like, I'm gonna be riding bikes until I can't walk.
Well, you don't have to walk when you're on a bike.
That's true.
You sit and you pedal. I mean, there's I'm sure there's an easier way to bike than to walk.
I'll be on those super long like tricycle things,
dude. That you kind of lay back on. And,
yeah,
dude, I could see you cruising down. I could see you cruising down the street on one of those.
But yeah, I think so. That's one way that I would say is like do something, new things until you find that feeling. And if you already have that feeling, Well, see, if there's a way that you could make a career out of it or like make a living out of it. It doesn't have to be like riding or like I'm using biking for an example because that's with my life and it's a passion. But I couldn't see myself riding my bike and making a living off of it. But I do think it's good, or I would want to be involved in the community and the cycling industry, which is what I'm already doing. Because I worked at Eric's Bike Shop for a couple of years, and then now I work at Quality Bicycle Products. So.
Yep, and that goes for anything.
Well, and like you're in the music industry too,
right?
As well.
So I want to kind of go back to what we were talking about, like kind of chasing that feeling. Just honestly, when I'm like, if I'm playing with someone and we're just feeling it right. There was this moment, I played a show in South Dakota with a couple singers, Scarlett Taylor and Rosalind Moore, and we had a band, and there was just a guy in the crowd. He's this older guy, and he had an acoustic guitar that was all beat up, and a billion people had signed this thing, just people he ran into, and we all got to sign it at the end, but I'll get to that. He was just such a helpful, like, motivational guy. He goes, "You guys are killing it." Like,
just the re-encouragement.
Honestly, kind of reminds me of you, because
that's awesome.
He goes, "You guys are killing it." He offered us a little bit of constructive criticism. He goes, "Don't try too hard. I think you guys are you definitely have the right path, but take away some of
your own unique stuff, or whatever.
Take away that type of thing and ride with it. It's all about dynamics and getting the feel of the live moment. You're not constantly in a recording studio trying to nail every single note. If you're doing it and you're feeling it,
just embrace it."
Yeah. And so
that's awesome.
We got to play some of these old classics. He just like shout out chord changes or whatever, and we were just so vibed on the stage, and it was like the best thing ever. I was like smiling my ass off when we were doing it. I was just like, so like the guitar player was doing some cool solos. He was jamming on his acoustic guitar, and
I've never heard this story before.
It was cool, and it was just this bar in the middle of South Dakota, and
that's awesome.
A really awesome experience, and it was. Yeah. I'm really glad I got to do that.
And I bet you're gonna remember that memory for a really long time.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It's got that vivid, that's the other thing too, that feeling. I think whenever you have that sensation, you remember it so easily. Like it's no problem.
Yeah. And it's not just like that show. Honestly, just when, like, if we're in the middle of a song and it's just like, I just feel that we're hitting it strong, and I'll just, goofy smile on my face, and I'll just,
it's cool. You're loving it.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to, you touched on it. We were talking about, being yourself, and like you're saying, when you're up on the stage and because it's not being recorded, it's live, it's okay to miss a couple notes, that's just like you're being yourselves, and you're just vibing off of whatever you guys are feeling. You're not sticking to a script.
That's the human aspect of playing an instrument live in front of people,
right? That's really cool,
which sort of modern music is going away from, but still, I mean,
which is here. This brings up another point. This is when we started this podcast. I didn't know how structured I wanted it to be. I didn't know what was the best route for my personality and the way that we conversate and like talk and whatnot. And now the more episodes we're doing, the more comfortable I'm getting, the more I'm realizing the more personable and the more like real feel is a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's way easier for us to just talk.
Yeah.
And it sounds way more conversational.
It's not forced topics like, oh, once we're done talking about this, we have to move on to the next thing. We can go into something so much farther about our personal experiences, and that's
exactly cool. And I think so I'm with this, we're not the make happiness stuff is still going to exist, but I don't think it's going to be as frequent because we're just going to be talking about random things. But I know the theme is still going to be around following your passions and make happiness and the whole mantra of that. But
we're just going to be bringing our own experiences into it, and it'll maybe make you guys think, how can I relate? Which is essentially what Ian and I are doing this entire time, is just
relating to each other.
Yeah,
feeding off each other and our own stuff. I was curious, you were gonna mention you got to sign his guitar in that story, or
it was basically his acoustic guitar. It was so beat up it looked like it was 40 years old. I'm sure it was. It was so worn down, it had a couple holes in it, and
that's cool.
There were so many signatures on it. I don't remember what I signed. I think
so the whole guitar was signed with names?
I mean, there was just Sharpie marks all over it, and just
that's
like little
awesome.
Like symbols or names and all that stuff, and we all got to sign.
Were there any like famous people or just random people that he was saying?
It could be anyone, dude. I mean, I got to sign it, so who knows?
There
could fair. Be. I mean, maybe he met like Jimi Hendrix back in the day. I mean, he's an older guy. Who knows?
Have you ever gotten to sign a guitar before?
Never.
That's cool.
Dude, I autographed a guitar. That thing's going to be worth millions.
That's rad. All right, so moving into like how would you say is the best way or best advice to give someone to be comfortable with themselves and not let peer pressure, not let other people kind of influence who you are, and just be your true self instead of trying to be someone else.
Well, I would go back on that and say other people definitely do influence who you are.
Oh yeah,
like
that's true.
You know, like you said your brother's a huge influence on you.
Yeah,
you know,
no
like
doubt.
you got your positivity a lot from him, and like your love for riding bikes and all that stuff from your family.
Yeah.
I definitely got a lot of that from my brother in the music sense.
Okay.
He started listening to music and I was like, you know what, that's cool. Like I used to say like, oh, I hate the bands that you listen to, and I was like 8, and I was like, but in reality, I enjoyed listening to it. I just did that because I was
you were the brother
being a dick to my brother.
Yeah,
but you know,
gotta do that.
That happens.
I did the same thing with my brother.
Yep. And honestly, the majority of his music taste rubbed off on me. Like he would listen to bands like AC/DC, and I used to be like, oh, AC/DC's dumb. And I love AC/DC. They're one of my favorite rock bands.
Right.
You know, he started listening to certain rap music. I got into certain rap music, and you know, you branch off. So that's like you get influences, but then you also kind of find out other things for yourself.
Yeah,
which definitely goes into other aspects. Like you know, you'll get influenced by someone, and then you'll say, how can I make that my own unique thing? Yeah,
sure. Which is cool, because I think that's a important thing when it comes to finding out who you are and being yourself, is that you should, like, you are I'm lost my train of thought. I think being influenced by other people is a good thing, but I don't think that you should let it be who you are, because I don't think you should, you know, act like someone else because you like what they are. You know, people like, they'll take photos on Instagram, or they'll like go take out, you know, like $300 in cash in the bank and then put it all over the bed or whatever, and take a picture of it and then go put it back in the bank just to make it look like they have a bunch of money.
And that's just kind of like false. Like, you know, you want to flex it on all the people. Yeah, you know, that's not you. That's
no. Which is really it's a shitty thing, because that's kind of like what our society is to an extent, a little bit with technology, because everyone's trying to be their best self. They're trying to showcase who they are, but why not just why not be yourself, and why not show those normal things?
Yeah, and I think that can bring a lot of unhealthy stress into your life if you're constantly worried about all that kind of stuff. Then it's just pointless. You don't have to be worrying about that if you're just being you. You don't.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed after going. Like, because I used to be really self-conscious about a lot of things in high school and middle school, but then when I really started to not care what other people think of me, my life was so much easier. I just would just do what I wanted, and I enjoyed myself. And then it turns out a lot of people started to like me more, which is crazy.
I think some of the people who don't try as hard when it comes to like self-image and all that stuff, just, you know, they're more real, and that's like a trait that people are attracted to. Yeah,
that's true. People like authenticity. People like that raw thing, which goes back to why I think this podcast is good now, because it's way more raw instead of kind of forced.
Yep.
But that's cool.
Absolutely.
Here's one thing that's pretty unique. I wrote this, I think it was in one of my blogs. I biked. So my freshman year of high school, I biked to school every single day.
I remember that.
Every day.
Yep.
And no matter what.
Even in the cold, in the rain, in the snow, no matter what, I bike to school. Which in Minnesota is saying something. It gets really cold and snowy here, so I admire that dedication.
Which is, I don't even know why I did it, to be honest.
Sometimes you don't need a reason.
Yeah,
you just like doing it, and why not?
I think, and like some of the days were really shitty too, because it was like pouring out, like literally pouring.
You come in soaking wet, and it's just like, oh, what's up, Ian? Oh, need a towel there or something? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing I could do about it. But I think one of the reasons why I kind of decided, I know I told myself, I was like, let's just bike to school for this first week, you know, like you enjoy bikes, and let's go back. This was freshman year of high school, so I'm scared shitless about all the other big kids and like what high school is in general, because that's a scary thing, you know, for any kid. So I was just like, well, let's bike to school, you know, you like biking, that'll keep you calm, it'll be no big deal. And then after a week, I was like, well, let's go another week. And then let's go another week. And then my brother's like, how come you're biking to school? And I was just like, I don't know. Why not? And then I just committed to doing it every day. And then eventually it was the end of the school year. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, time flies, dude. It's so weird to think that now what are we, 2 full years out of high school now?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it was like 6 years ago.
6 years ago. Oh, man. That's so weird.
Yeah, that's not that bad, though. I mean, 6 years is not... It's a long time, but it's not that long.
It's relative. In our lives, 6 years is, you know, a third of who we are, essentially.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing I was writing about. That well, just like I really like this idea. So a lot of people say, you know, you get overnight success or like you get this overnight fame, but in all reality, it was 7 years in the making. So let them think you're an overnight success, but you are working 7 years, kind of thing.
right, yep. You know, you work so hard for something and it pays off.
Yeah.
Just think about that. You know, a lot of these, you know, a lot of people out in the media are just kind of like, you get your 15 minutes of fame and then they're gone.
Right.
But I think the harder you work and the more effort you put into who you are and the things that you do,
Sure.
it'll definitely show in your end result.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know if you keep up with hip hop at all or like rappers, like new school people.
I mean, I hear about it, but I don't really go out of my way to
and
follow
like follow the news or anything. So G-Eazy was on a tour in Europe like a month ago or so, and he got arrested for sexual assault and something else, and like I think it was cocaine or some sort of
drug possession.
Yeah. So he like his records and everything has been going downhill for him and all the fans. And then Logic, on the other hand, has just exploded in the past year, and he's like gone insane, which is crazy because I feel like G-Eazy had a lot more rep throughout his whole like lifespan, and now he's kind of at the tipping point where it's going further downhill. But Logic is kind of had the opposite, where it's really slow start, and then these past 2 years it's just been like exploded for him.
Yeah, a very exponential growth.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really interesting.
Into it. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, it's good for him, and it's a shame that, you know, G-Eazy has that situation, and hopefully, you know, you can learn from your mistakes and better yourself. Which,
but I know he's had troubles with that in the past too. I don't think I don't know. He doesn't have his priorities straight. I guess I don't even know him. I don't really like his music.
It's hard. It's hard to say that about someone you don't really know. You know, people make these,
especially celebrities too.
Yeah, people make these assumptions about so many like famous people, and it's hard. You can't say that because you don't know them and you don't know the situation. I mean, you know, maybe it is exactly what the media says, but it's so hard to say.
No doubt. Did you see Mark Wahlberg when he came to MOA?
Yeah, dude, I saw that on everyone's Snapchat story. It's just like, oh man, it's Wahlburgers, and yeah.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Do you know why he was there?
They opened up a Wahlburger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, yeah, they opened up their thing, and there's like 1 million people there just screaming at him.
Well, yeah. That brings up another thing. So when I was in LA, I never went to In-N-Out. I've still never had In-N-Out.
I never went there either.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
You know, do your own thing. You don't have to do all the cliches.
Yeah, that's true. And we didn't. I mean, like, I was up, like, we were at Venice Beach till like 1 a.m. just hanging out with all the homeless people, and I was just writing in my journal. I mean, like,
that's fun too.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You get a bunch of cool experiences hanging out with different people who are different than you. You know, they come from a different background maybe, and that's a thing that I've wanted to sort of branch out and do. I've talked to a few friends about traveling recently, and it's just I just think that's such a cool thing. You know, you get to travel all these different places. What we've been talking about is just kind of, you know, a few states over, more specifically like New York area and stuff. So on the way there, you hit places like Chicago, Detroit. I mean, we might go through Canada, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been out of the country before, and you know, that's not really saying.
No, do you have your passport?
No, but
I need one too, because you can't fly until you get a passport, starting at like the end of this year.
Yeah, so apparently, if you're passing through, all you need is a birth certificate and photo ID.
Oh, interesting.
So if you're just passing through, you can be like, "Hey, I'm a citizen. This is me."
Passing through.
Just passing through. Yeah. And so if we go through Canada, that'll be really cool. That'll be a new experience. Maybe we'll meet some interesting characters along the way, and I think that would be really exciting. Yeah,
I think. I don't know. I want to do more traveling, but the hard part is like getting the time off of school, getting the time off of work, you know, having the money for it. And I don't know. It's really cool. And I do like seeing all the new places, but at the same time, I think my priorities are, I'd rather be working on myself and getting done with school and like having more time after I get done with school, and I can focus more and make happiness and whatnot.
And that could, I mean, just a sort of a suggestion. You could travel around and honestly do the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you know, you probably want a little bit of financial stability before you do so, but I think that could be really cool. Like you went to California, slapped your stickers around, and you know, I'm sure you talked to people about your thing. Did you see anyone and get to talk about Make Happiness at all there?
Yeah, I did actually a couple times, but nothing. Unfortunately, I didn't sell any shirts, which is a bummer. But
that's okay.
Yeah. There's a couple people they're like one of the waitresses I was chatting with because she liked my shirt, that I was wearing a Make Happiness shirt, and the at the Airbnb that we're staying at, I talked to the owner of the house for a little bit about my business and whatnot, so that was cool. And then I don't know, it was really good interactions all around. But for traveling, I would think it'd be really cool to. I've wanted to travel around the country on my bike and then sort of do like not a travel blog, but kind of a travel blog just on my bike essentially. So it's different than like, most road trips or those tiny houses that are in vans and whatnot. It'd be a different perspective because it's all man powered.
Yep.
We'll see.
Actually, I don't know if we got to it in this section. It might have been in the deleted section that you guys won't hear, but we talked about how like you keep a record of your life in this sort of journal that you write down.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You were saying how it's sort of a documentary on your life that you're just writing down, and I think that's honestly what a lot of vloggers kind of do. Like there's this vlog channel on YouTube called CTFXC that I know I've talked to Ian about before, like all throughout high school. It's just this guy. He's been daily vlogging his life for the past 10 years, and he's got like at least a 10-minute video for every day for the past 10 years of his life, which is crazy.
Doesn't he have the longest?
He's got the world record for that, and he's still going. So he talks about it every so often. He'll be like, I've got all these experiences that I've vlogged. He's a touring musician. Mm-hmm. He lives in Florida right now. He's gone through a divorce. He's gone through 2 marriages now. And
was it cancer or a tumor?
Yeah, he has I guess he still has it. I don't know, but yeah, he like this whole thing when it started, he didn't have this illness, and all of a sudden that became a part of his life, and he documented the entire thing. He documented his brain surgery and him being awake during that. That's crazy. Yeah.
And going back to talking about my journal a little bit, I do think that's going to be a really cool thing because I started writing these daily journals. Some days I'll miss a day here and there, but it's human.
And again, the same thing he would always say is, not every day is going to be the most exciting thing. And I don't blame you if you don't like the episode, but that's just life. Like my life is my life. I'm just documenting it. I'm not trying to
have really crazy content or be who I'm not going to be, like going back to the beginning.
Be not genuine. He wants to be him. He's just recording his life. And if you like it, cool. If you don't, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one's forcing you to watch it. So yeah, he's just doing it because he likes it.
Exactly. And that's one thing. So I'm super into writing, and I've kind of discovered this throughout my maybe sophomore years when I really kind of understood that I enjoyed the act of putting a pen to paper and writing down my thoughts. And then I started to get really self-conscious about it because what dude writes a diary every day? It's not normal.
Normal, again, we get into the thing where...
Okay, it's not... social norm. We'll go with that.
Sure, yep.
And then after about 6 months or so of writing in this journal, I kind of started to figure out, well, who cares what other people think of you? You're doing this for you. You're not doing this for anyone else. You're doing this because you just enjoy writing down your thoughts every day and talking about what you did or what plans you have or whatever's going on or how to get over some stressful moment that's going on. And now I've been doing this for the past... 3 years now. I've gone through 2 books, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Of just my own writing of random thoughts and things. Some days I'll have 4 pages to write down, then other days I'll have a paragraph. So like you were saying, some days are really exciting. I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about. Other days I just have a couple sentences.
Yeah.
But it's going to be really cool when I look back and I'm 60 years old and I'll have all of this documentation of my life and what I've been doing my whole existence.
And I've, we've known each other since 6th grade. So, and I've been there for some of it, but honestly, I'd like to read some of that just to sort of see your thought process and all that stuff. Because I think the first time I heard you actually talk about it was junior year of high school. Was I'm writing a book. I've got all these ideas writing, I'm just writing down thoughts and all that stuff. I'm that's really cool. And I hope, you're saying, I'm going to get published and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm all right, I'll definitely like to read that book someday.
Which is really cool too, because I really want to write a book, but I want to wait until I have, a lot of stuff to go through and then kind of organize everything. Because right now, all of my thoughts are some of it's pretty personal. I know other ideas are more broad and stuff that I would use in it. But I also think it'd be cool if I just did publish this as a journal, and put myself out there. Because I know Mod's son has done that before, and that's kind of where I got the idea. But I don't know if it's worth doing that or if people would actually want to read my handwriting because some of it's really scribbling. It's hard to read, or there is.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea because it's way more authentic. It's way more raw. It's way more personable.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, I've read countless biographies of people, and that's essentially what you're doing, is
Yeah.
a biography of, like, your thoughts and experiences of your life. Honestly, no matter who it is, it's always interesting to learn stuff about different people.
Oh yeah, it's true.
At least to me it is. And I like genuine thoughts and sort of the experiences that people go through, whether they're positive or, shitty or
Right.
all that stuff. And it's something you can relate to and be like, you know what, we're all human. And, and in the end, we can all accomplish things no matter what they are.
Sure. Well, and that's the other thing too. So I've never talked about this anymore, and this is going to be kind of here's another moment of self-conscious. It's going to be a new barrier breaking for me. But so for a long time, I was really addicted to nicotine, and I wrote about it all the time and how bad it was for me and how I needed to quit and all this stuff. And I'd just keep going in circles in my head. So I'd stop using for like a couple of weeks, and then I'd go back into it, and I'd use my e-cig all the time again. And up until I think maybe was it January? Maybe, or I think it was like beginning of January, so beginning
like 6
of
months
this
ago.
year. Yeah, I stopped using nicotine completely. So now it's been 6 months.
How do you feel? Like, do you feel a difference?
Oh yeah, I have so much more energy. It's really weird.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really awesome. The
Yeah.
bummer is though, I'm still, anytime I see someone like have a cig or use their e-cig, I'm like, that looks really good.
I'm sure that, yeah. I mean, I can't speak for substances like nicotine or alcohol like that for myself, but
Right.
that I'm sure that comes along with based off of what I've heard other people talk about and people in my life talk about it, is that comes with any addiction, is, you've come across that, and anytime you see it, you're like, ooh, I remember that.
Right.
That it would sure be nice to do that again. And, like kind of the rock star life back in the 80s, heroin was a huge drug, and
Sure.
I'm sure it still is. It's just maybe not as prevalent, or,
Right.
but Nikki Sixx specifically, one of the guys, a biography I read, he was the bassist of Motley Crue and, one of the lead writers of the band 6am.
Okay.
He was a heroin addict for like all of the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And probably not, I can't remember the 90s, but he actually has a book called The Heroin Diaries, where he would write when he was high, basically, and he'd have all these. I've
Random
never read
things.
it. I've never read it myself, but I'd like to one day. But I've read their biography called The Dirt, and they
touched on so many things.
Yeah, they've so many different experiences that.
Are they sober now?
Yeah, I can't speak for Tommy Lee.
Okay.
Because I know he's going through some stuff, but Nikki Sixx has been sober since like 2007, I want to say.
That's awesome.
So that's really cool for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know he's like super stoked, and like he's always talking about how good he feels, and he's up to new stuff and all that.
Right. Which also, so this brings up another topic. When I would write in these journals about my addiction, about all these thoughts, like sometimes it would be really negative and really depressing and really dark, but that was just where my head was at, that's what I was thinking about. So it was just good to write it on the table and get it out there, because then I wouldn't be thinking about it, which is another really good technique that I think everyone should use. If you're really stressed about a situation or something that's like really bringing you down, then write it, get it out of your head, talk to someone about it, or do something to get it out and put it into the world, and then you won't think about it as much.
Like what I've heard is write it down on a piece of paper and just crumple it up and toss it away. Be like, that's sort of your, like it's there instead of in your brain. Like you wrote it down, you put it somewhere, and just chuck it away.
Right. And so it's been really nice too, because I was looking at when I was kind of on when I was really committed to stopping using nicotine, I was looking into more of the popcorn lung and that kind of thing, and it is a real thing. And people who are using all these e-cigs now, when they're in their 40s and 50s, their lungs are going to be essentially plastic.
Ooh.
Which is really not it's going to coat your lungs with like a liner of plastic.
Yeah, just because the stuff that's in there, like the juices.
And one of the chemicals that I think it's it's not nitroglycerin, but it's like something.
Nitroglycerin.
Something, I don't know the right chemical, but you know what I'm saying.
It's something weird and fancy.
But we do have the potential to Google it right now. But
we do.
That's for another time. Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, that would require opening up like an internet browser and typing it in.
Either way, I'm excited. I'm feeling a lot better. And that's the other thing too. So since I stopped using nicotine, my biking has actually improved quite a bit.
I'm sure like your lungs. Yeah,
exactly.
It's way easier.
I have way more endurance. I can go way longer. I can go way faster. It's insane.
Yeah, especially if you're in that. Why would you sacrifice your lung capacity just to, give in to your sort of cave to your craving of something just because it feels good.
It's an addiction.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard. Like I know,
I believe it.
Yeah, when you get into that state, it sucks because it's like you wake up, you know, you first thing you wake up, you have some nicotine, then you're buzzed, and then you wait another hour and then you use it again, then you wait an hour and then you use it again. It's just it's this cycle throughout your whole day that you're just constantly using it.
Yep.
But it's crazy.
That kind of makes me think about high school again, going back to sort of the peers.
Yeah.
The majority of my peers, honestly, have basically, they've smoked weed or smoked cigarettes, drank alcohol and stuff, and I haven't really done that a ton myself. I just don't find that to be me. That's not who I am, and that's not really what I want to be about. I don't want to.
Sure.
Maybe it's really cool and exciting. I just don't. That's just not who I am, and I don't really want to like.
Well, that's good though that you.
I'm trying to word this correctly.
That's fair.
Let me think about this. I don't. Maybe the people like you.
Yeah. I went through that phase, and I did it because that's what I wanted at the time, and now I kind of grew out of it after high school, and I realized that wasn't right for me. I mean, it's not what I want long term. It was just
and I don't let those barriers determine a person with who they are. It's more about their characteristics, morally. Are they a decent person? I've known Ian since 6th grade, and we've been good friends ever since. And because maybe he did certain things and I've done certain things, I don't find him to be less of a person than I am or more of a person than I am. We're both people, and we both get along because we
have the same values, we have the same personalities, the same kind of mindset or whatever.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's really cool too, because when you're in high school and you have all these influences around you, it's so hard to not give in to them, there's so much peer pressure, and everyone's like, oh, do this, try that, whatever, and
that's something, not to boost my own ego, but I think I've been pretty successful at is just
saying no, or being true to yourself,
being true to myself, and doing what I want to do, and not having to just go with the flow of what everyone else is doing.
Which is what I'm really starting to understand since I graduated high school, and I'm more into this make happiness stuff, because this is what I really want to do with my life.
Yeah.
I'm not letting other people tell me how to run make happiness, or what I should do, or what content I should make. I know to an extent I'm letting some fans or whatever people give influence, because I want to make stuff that you guys will enjoy.
Yeah.
But I'm also doing this because I want to go the direction that I want to go with it.
Yep.
With these podcasts, I want to do more guests. I want to do some more stuff like that, because I think it'd be really cool to get more perspectives of other ordinary people who are following their own dreams and doing what they love. That's just to hear their story. So,
because I know there are plenty of people out there who know Ian, who have done extraordinary things that would be so cool to do myself, and I'm kind of jealous of a little bit. So stay tuned for those podcasts. I can't wait to hear those myself.
Yeah, it'll be really cool. I'm excited too, because I think there'll be a lot of good content and a lot of really good people. Because actually, one of our closest friends, his name's Alex. He's over in Iceland right now doing his own thing, taking photos.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his photos on Facebook and all that. That just looks like such a crazy place. He was on a volcano.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
And he just flew out there just for the hell of it, just because he wanted to go to Iceland.
Yeah, I was like, okay, you're going to Iceland. Cool.
It's so crazy. I think it's a really cool thing to see that, and he's just following his own passion and doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's a photographer, and he's talked to me about it. He goes, I want to be able to pay my way around the world with my photography, essentially. And that's such a cool thing to be able to shoot for.
Right.
No pun intended.
But
Yep, I'll add one of those maybe in post. Just
there you go.
I think I did that.
Yeah.
I did that one time. When did I do
that? Was
that?
So funny.
Yeah.
It was the second episode or third or something
like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so Alex is going to be up on this podcast soon. I don't know what time or when, because he's always traveling a bunch. But
yeah.
Sometime I'll make him stay in Minnesota for more than a week, and we'll get this done. But
he's always doing cool stuff. Follow his photography thing, Minneapolis Visuals, on Facebook and I believe Instagram.
Oh yeah,
check him out.
Shout out. He does most of the photos for Make Happiness too.
Yep,
which is pretty cool.
He's very good.
Yeah, he is. He knows how to take a good photo.
He does. He's taken a few photos for me as well, like show stuff and all that. Yeah.
And me and him too. We also grew up BMX biking, which is pretty crazy. And he's still pursuing that after a torn ACL. And
yeah, he's had so many injuries, and I'm
he's
like,
still
wow.
riding.
Yep. that's some dedication as well.
Yeah, well, because he's chasing that feeling,
Yep.
just like everyone else. Yeah, man, I'm stoked. Life is good.
It is. Life has been treating me well. Life has been treating you well.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you have any stuff coming up or anything that you're doing? Are you doing any shows?
No, I've been mostly just been working.
Oh yeah.
I do 12-hour days at Drop Tone,
Mm-hmm.
which can be exhausting, and I get home and honestly just eat and sleep.
Yeah, dude, that's what I would do. That's what I did when I worked 12-hour days and even 10-hour days. It's like you just want to go home, relax for an hour, and then go to bed.
Yeah, you work so hard during the day. You think maybe sometimes if it's like a slow day, you're like, I really wish I was doing this right now. But you're putting in work for something that's for someone else essentially, but you're also improving your own work ethic, and that's definitely important for this industry, at least for me, is be understanding of you're doing work for someone because they're following their dream. So many musicians want to record their stuff. Right. If you can make it sound the best you can, you're doing something that'll totally be awesome for them.
Which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome because you wanna do the best that you can, and you want to make them look the best that they can.
Yep. And that's honestly that was one of the main things when I was asked, like, why is it that you want this position type of thing, is I thought about it and I was like, you know what, I want to be able to, because I'm a musician as well, I want to be able to help the recording process, whether it be helping produce, edit, mix, or anything, honestly, just be a part of that recording process and help someone get their dream song out there.
Yeah, and make it a reality.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I think that's one of the ultimate, I don't know if it's just a human trait thing or human survival instinct, but we as individuals, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this.
Like, want to help each other?
Yeah, help each other, like lift each other up, help each other get to whatever they want to do, and, make this world a happier place, and like help everyone, and,
Yep. Like sort of, there's illustrations I'm trying to compare this to, but like there's this one, I think it was like a tall person reaching up above, like on a fridge to grab someone a cookie jar who was like a kid or something like that.
Oh,
sure. And it's just kind of like a sort of a visualization of that same thing. Like, we have traits that can benefit others who don't have those traits and stuff. And,
Right. Well, and I think it's like, it goes back to those feelings too. When you're helping, like, I'm sure you get a great deal of satisfaction when you help an artist put out this song and you help with the process, then they listen to it, they get excited. You're like, wow, that makes me feel good too. Yeah. Which is a really cool thing.
Yeah, I'm sure they get that same feeling, like what I was talking about earlier about like when an edit comes together, you just like, yes. And like, I've seen artists get like super pumped about what happens. So, you put something together and, maybe that sounds cool to you, but then they're just like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And I've talked to some people, it's like, I don't really know much about what I'm doing, but if someone could help me out on sort of the technical side of things, and if we work together or collaborate, I'm always like, that's something I'm always been looking for, is just I want to collaborate with people because
you want to do more and get more experience.
Yeah. And not even just experience. I just want to be able to do more because I love doing it.
Which is awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So that goes a little bit into my writing, going back to my journal. I've wrote a couple songs before, and I've thought about making one, but
you've mentioned it to me before. Let's do it, honestly.
Should we?
Just go for it. If you don't like it, we don't have to do anything with it, but you should definitely try it.
But that's the thing. I need to figure out like what kind of sound, like it's got to be the right vision that I have in my head, and I don't know what vision I have for music.
I could help you produce it, Ian.
This is true.
I could be like, so what's the feel of this song, and sort of get an idea of whether it needs to be like some like major, minor key or some, like a light piano noise, or maybe it's like
all right,
hardcore rap.
Well, it's going to be, no, it's not going to be hardcore rap.
Yeah.
It's going to be definitely more of a hip hop based thing than anything, I think, but it's going to be more of a story and more meaningful because that's just who I am. I'm a very meaningful person. I add value to everything because I don't like things that are just said to say things. I like things that actually have, value. But yeah, I'm down. It's going to be like a full day process.
I don't care.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
I mean, just to do it.
What are you doing next weekend?
I don't think anything, honestly. Next weekend. I know I'm going to a grad party.
Oh, there you go.
But that's it.
Okay. We'll set up something. We'll talk later.
we'll figure out the details.
Yeah, that'll be cool. See, that's another thing too. I've always thought about, like, I'm super into poetry too, so I write a fair amount of poetry, but I've always been really self-conscious about it, and I don't know why. There's no reason to be. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. Things are cool.
Yep.
What are we at now for time?
41 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That went quick.
Do you got any last thoughts or any things you want to touch on or talk about?
We need more feedback from the audience.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't care what it is. I just like to hear stuff from people who listen. Just say, hey, or it could be super in depth. I don't care.
Some interaction.
Yeah. Let's get some audience feedback.
Yeah.
I love it.
I want to touch on my blog real quick that I wrote for the blog that I wrote was last week. It was called the 40-Hour Work Week.
Yep.
And I talked a little bit about why we're so afraid to follow our dreams and why we always settle for, the typical kind of 9 to 5 thing. Why are we brought up in a world? Oh, I'm curious. So I'm asking you, why do you think when we're growing up, our parents are always like, hey, you should dream big, but go get a stable job and work 60 years of your life? And
because they want us to have stability. They don't want us to feel like we're afraid of what's coming next because, maybe they've been in positions where they've been financially unstable and they're like, oh, that sucks. I do not want that to happen to my child.
Right.
And so they're thinking, work hard at what you love doing, but also work hard at keeping financially stable so you could live a consistent life and you won't have to worry about, where food's coming from or anything like that. They want us to be happy and healthy.
Right. So do you think it's better to take the risk of following your passion and, making your dream a reality? Or do you think it's better to, go the safe route and find stability?
It's easy to say to follow your passion would be a better route to take, but it's so much harder, I think, sometimes to be able to work that into your life and be able to make that what you do for a living, maybe.
And especially if it takes, 10 years to get to that level like we were talking about earlier.
It's such a hard thing to work towards. And, maybe some people don't quite get there, which is too bad. But, at least they tried. And
in my own opinion, I think everyone has the potential to get there. It's just a matter of being persistent enough and having the drive and, the effort and the work ethic and all those things.
Yep.
I believe anyone can do anything.
That's true.
So that's why I'm doing both of these like job scenarios. I'm working the stable job where 40 hours a week, but I'm also doing what I love on the side with Make Happiness.
Yeah.
So it's I work my ass off every day because there's so much stuff I have to be doing.
Yep.
But I know in the end it's going to benefit. I know it'll all pay off eventually, but also, like I said before, I don't want to work at Q for the rest of my life either, but that's
one of the steps to get in there.
Exactly. And it is a financially stable thing, and it's a good thing because I'm not, it allows me to go on trips to California or do whatever. And,
you got to do some cool stuff every so often. If you have that stability, you save up money, you can do really cool stuff.
Sure.
For a little bit, you took a week off and went to California. That's awesome. I mean,
But it's also then 40 hours of your life every week is being taken up to make money to live for Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know. It's weird.
It's hard, maybe try approaching your week with a different mindset. That's probably harder to say than it is to do, but.
Well, that's the other. So I wrote about this too. When you're working on trying to shift, I guess, how your brain works and how you think in your thought process, just like any muscle, the more you use it, the easier it gets. So just like when you're riding a bike,
becomes a habit.
Exactly. So the more you're thinking positively or the more you're trying to look at a better scenario, the easier it's going to become. So like in my life right now, it's automatic for me to think positive about everything. And it's kind of, people ask like, oh, well, how do you do it? It's like, because I've been doing it for, 6
it's not
years.
out of the ordinary. Like it would be out of the ordinary for maybe just someone you ran into on the street and be like,
exactly.
How can you do that all the time? But that becomes your ordinary.
Right. Which is it's a really tough barrier to cross because it can be really hard to consciously be aware of your thinking and like, okay, stop yourself. This isn't a bad thing. It's okay. It's going to work out. I just need to, reassess myself, or what can I learn from this, or how can I grow, look at it from a different perspective, which takes a lot of effort and it is hard.
Yeah. Which I think a lot of people need to take more time to think by themselves. Don't be so distracted by everything around you, but just kind of go into yourself, into your thoughts. Maybe you do it like, instead of, laying in bed, being on your phone, looking at all the Instagram posts or something like that.
Yeah, catching up on all the social media.
Watching your YouTube videos. Just think for a while you fall asleep about the things you're looking forward to, the things you want to accomplish, and make goals for yourself. That sounds kind of cheesy as well, but
no, well, that's the thing though. Like, honestly, all this stuff it's all cheesy, but it's all really valid. You know,
yeah,
people
the reason it's cheesy is because
it's real.
It's real. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing too, like when you're laying in your bed, like you were saying, and thinking, I like to think about what I'm doing the next day. So like I'll set a list for myself, and I'll even like Annie, my girlfriend, does this too. She'll write out a list of like whatever she needs to get done that day, and she has to cross everything off before she can go to sleep.
It's a good way to get a stress-free kind of agenda done. Like, you know, you
no
have
doubt
homework to do, you got like maybe a job to do, you have to accomplish these things. If you check them off one at a time, it's a lot less overbearing than a huge pile of it all at once.
Definitely. But I do think too, the more that you work on it, the easier it is. So if you're getting frustrated with trying to stay positive, just don't overthink it. Just keep riding the wave, keep following it. It'll click eventually. Just don't stress over it. Like, everything's going to work out. It always does. Time will unfold and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And
it's a different way to think about it. You know, it's when something bad happens, that's not the end.
Exactly.
It's not the end all be all of your
Existence.
situation. Yeah. It's like, you know, you may think like, oh no, this is like the worst thing ever, but you know, it's not the end. It's going to pick up again. You're not just going to stop there just because something terrible and unfortunate has happened in your life. And it's easy to say when you're not in that situation, but just kind of keep that in the back of your mind at all times. Just, you know, if there's something unfortunate that's going on in your life, you're not stuck. You're not stuck there.
Right. Which is, yeah, that's totally true. And I don't know. I think it's a hard skill to acquire, but it's a really good one. Do you think you do that with your life, or do you think you still think?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it ever hard for you sometimes to focus on the positive things when something really shitty happens?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, there've been issues in my personal life that I won't dive into.
No, that's fair. I mean, I can say the same about myself,
right?
Too.
Or anyone has that, but and you think, oh man, when is this gonna end?
Right.
And you're like, but tomorrow's a new day. Things can get better. Things can get worse before they get better.
And it's also a choice, you know. It's you have a choice to sit and look at it as a shitty thing.
You can sit there and wallow in your own sadness,
right?
Or you can, you know,
choose to not let it get to you. Get up, brush the dirt off, and keep moving forward.
Yeah,
which can be really hard to do sometimes.
Absolutely. Yep.
But
and we don't blame you if you don't do that. It's just maybe doing something to help yourself a little bit more.
Exactly. And the longer you sit in, you know, that sadness and that kind of state of mind, you're not benefiting anyone. You're you're going to be crabby all the time. You're going to be sad and mopey and depressed.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's going to affect the people around you.
Yeah, like nothing positive really can come from that.
Exactly. So I think the sooner that you can kind of climb yourself out, the better. But I know obviously it's a good thing to sit there, but you don't want to, like, you know, live there.
Yeah, right.
Cool,
I think
man.
We've made some good points this podcast.
This is awesome.
Yep.
I'm stoked.
What do you guys think? Please tell us.
Oh, they love it. You guys love it. I already know it.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So you leave comments. I don't know if you can leave comments on Castbox, but leave comments on any sort of social media, Facebook, Twitter, you know, send me a message or contact me via my cell phone or whatever. I do want some feedback and I want some questions.
Yeah.
I want to get this Q&A thing going. So I think that'd be a really cool segment to do.
It doesn't have to be, like we've probably said this before, it doesn't have to be happiness related. Just, you know, ask us anything, to be honest.
Right.
Reddit's type AMA.
Yeah, there you go.
Make happiness AMA.
That would be cool.
Yep.
Should we make a make happiness subreddit?
We could.
That would be cool.
Dude. Yeah. That could be how we get our audience to, I don't know how many people use Reddit as like a sort of tool to.
Well, I've thought about, what about doing Twitch or something? Because I know eventually I want to record
like
this
live
and
stream?
film it. Yeah. I think that would be really cool.
That puts some pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's. Ooh,
but
that could be kind of cool.
In due time.
It's definitely scary, but something cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. Signing off, Ian Price.
Eli Prescott.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm really excited. I hope you guys are as well. Have the best day of your life. I'm going to leave you with one last quote. No matter the amount of negativity that you are presented with, 5 minutes from now could be your best moment. That was from Mod Sun. I I didn't write that myself. I wish I did, but
It's a good quote.
it is.
Think about that. Take it easy. Have a good one.
See ya.